Welcome. What if I told you that every single person in your life, from your best friend to that coworker who drives you crazy, is there for a reason? And get this, a reason you designed. Today, we're diving into a really powerful way of looking at things, one that reframes every relationship you have as a lesson you chose for yourself.
So that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Take a second and think about the people in your life. The good, the bad, the challenging. What if none of that is random? What if they're all part of a grand plan, a script that you yourself wrote for your own growth? It's a huge idea. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around that, we first have to explore this concept of a chosen reality. The idea here isn't about some pre-written destiny you're just stuck with. Nope. It's about an intentional design, one you actually had a hand in creating for your own benefit.
Now check this out. According to this perspective, before you were even born, you picked out the key players and the setting for your life, your family, where you grew up, all of it. So those childhood conditions, they weren't an accident. They were the perfect launch pad for the exact journey of discovery you came here to experience.
All right, so if we're living out a plan we helped create, what about all the other people in our story? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Let's start calling them your teachers. What role are they really playing in our lives?
I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? That deep gut-level frustration when someone does something that just feels completely wrong. It goes against everything we think is fair or right. And honestly, it can be infuriating.
But here's where the perspective gets a little, well, a little mind-bending. This quote challenges us to just throw out the whole idea of wrong. From this higher viewpoint, their actions aren't a mistake. They are playing a part, perfectly and intentionally, that is absolutely necessary for your journey. So, the whole point is that every single person is a kind of catalyst. There are teachers, for sure. They help us define our reality, often by showing us what we don't want, which is super useful for figuring out what we do want. They're also a vibrational match, meaning they're basically a mirror, reflecting our own energy and beliefs right back at us.
So if everyone around us is just a teacher reflecting our own stuff, well, then trying to change them is a total waste of energy, right? And this leads us to the most powerful part of this whole idea, self-acceptance. The real work happens when we stop looking out there and start looking in here. And this is the big secret, right here. The key to making any relationship better isn't getting the other person to change their ways. The real work, the only work that actually matters, is to fully and completely accept yourself, whether they approve of you or not. And I love how this breaks it down. We're so often taught that we need to find someone who loves us, that we need their approval. But this philosophy flips that completely. The goal is to become a generator of love from the inside. It's a huge shift from needing to be loved to simply needing to love. Okay, so this all sounds really good in theory, but how do we actually do it? You know, in the real world, when things get tough and someone is really pushing your buttons. Let's talk about the mechanics. You know, when you really get down to it, the whole thing boils down to a choice between two states, fear or love. Fear creates resistance. It's that feeling of putting up walls, getting defensive. But love, in this context, is just another word for acceptance. It's about dropping the struggle and just allowing people to be who they are. And here is maybe the single most powerful, practical tool you can use. You have to actively train your focus. This isn't about just hoping for the best. It's a conscious choice. By deliberately looking for the good things in another person, you're not just making yourself feel better, you're literally changing the energy of the whole interaction. Okay, let's bring all this home. How do we make this shift from fear to love a real daily practice? Well, that brings us to our final section. We're going to look at some specific tools you can use to consciously create your experience by shifting your internal state first. So here's a simple 4-step process using affirmations to really lock this in. Notice how it works. First, you have to acknowledge your own worth. Then, you actively decide to let go of conflict. Step 3 is making that powerful choice to give love without needing it in return. And finally, you step into your power as a creator, not a victim. It's a journey from feeling powerless to totally empowered. And honestly, if you take away just one thing, let it be this. This is the monumental shift.
It's moving from a mindset where things happen to me to a deep knowing that everything happens for me. It takes you from being a passive bystander in your life to being the conscious creator of your reality.
So, as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this to really think about. If you truly adopted this belief that nothing is ever wrong, that every person is a teacher, and every single challenge is actually a gift for your growth, what would become possible in your life? How would that change everything?